So this is based on a true creepy story. A girl used to live at home, flat, and some 5-10 friends went to meet her. Among them a boy had come from Delhi to meet her. So when this girl and the boy meet, these people thought it would be nice to meet each other. Then they cut off everything, and this boy had to go back to Delhi by night flight. Late night 4 a.m. So this girl said that from where will we go to the airport and sit, come to my house, stay with me for 4 hours, and then go. So he first tried to convince her, and then said that it is okay, let's go. Then they reached her house after eating well and having a full dinner. Then the girl said that I am sleeping on the bed. You had sold a donkey below. She said you go and sleep below. I'm fine going upstairs to sleep. That guy lay down and this girl lay down upstairs and they were lying together. This very decent boy. So decent that the girl thought this boy deserves to be brought home a Delhi boy. So as he lay down, suddenly he started saying that he is feeling very hungry. He needs something to eat. So the girl thought that we have eaten so much. We have just left the food on the table. We have ordered so much. How come we are feeling hungry? Tell him now. So 8 friend, you haven't eaten yet. You haven't said anything yet. I have a problem. I am sick. I need to eat something every hour. Give me something to eat. Give me Maggie something to eat. Get up from the bed and eat something. So he got a little angry. You are doing amazing things, friend. No, you didn't say anything. Then I will have to take medicine. Yes, I have a medicine. If you don't have anything to eat at home, as girls don't live in flats, it doesn't happen all the time that in a family's house the fridge is stocked so much that in a bachelor's house it doesn't get filled up. So he said, then get me the medicine, friend. I need medicine, but I am not able to take it. So she said helplessly that there is a medicine shop downstairs. He said, I am not in Bombay anymore, so what if you come with me? Suddenly got confused as to how is he doing this. Now I need to eat, I need medicine, you come. So out of helplessness she got up and came. As soon as these two went out of the house, this man took the girl out and went out himself and locked the door from outside. So the girl asked, what are you doing? He said, someone is lying under your bed. So what did the girl say? He said, someone is lying under your bed. Then the police was called. A boy was stalking that girl for many days. He came inside by making a doorstep of her house, and he was waiting under the bed. He said that when she falls asleep, I will rape her and kill her. This boy got a spell and took the girl out and brought her. Then the police was called. The police took him inside and caught him. When I was in the Navy, I worked in a top-secret area. It had 24-hour security guards at the door, and nobody who did not have top-secret security clearance could enter. The only people who had access were people I knew well, and none of them were into practical jokes, so there was no question of this being a trick. For several months on my morning watches, midnight to 8 a.m., I was working alone in a room quite a distance from the rest of the watch. The room was at the end of a long corridor, and there was nowhere anyone could possibly hide between the main area and this room. When I had been working there for a few nights, somebody asked me if anything odd had happened while I was there. I asked him what he meant, and he wouldn't say. He said he didn't want to put ideas into my head, but if it happened, I would know. A few nights later, I was at work again, and I heard footsteps coming up the corridor. They weren't ghostly footsteps. It just sounded like regular Navy clodhoppers walking up the hall and into the room. I assumed it was somebody coming up to offer me coffee or a snack, and kept working with my back to the door. When nobody spoke, I turned around and nobody was there. I went back to work, and slowly a feeling of tremendous menace came over me. I tried to tell myself it was my imagination and to keep working, but it became more and more intense. I couldn't stay in that room. I went up to the radio room and told the others what had happened, expecting to be laughed at. But nobody laughed. Other people had had the same experience. I went back with some trepidation, and nothing more happened that night. But as long as I worked there, it happened every few days, sometimes only once a night, sometimes 3 or 4 times. Nobody ever found out what it was, but nobody could stay in that room for more than a minute when it happened. The second experience happened when my father was dying. He was in a little cottage hospital in a country town. We were told the end was very near, and so my mother, my brother, and I stayed with him all the time. They told us there were only a few hours left. He held on for much longer than expected, and my mother, who was also terminally ill at the time, was exhausted. I persuaded her to come home with me to rest for a few hours, and she reluctantly agreed. She went to bed and got some much-needed sleep, and I lay reading while I waited for her to wake up again. I put down my book to give my eyes a rest, and saw my father standing at the foot of my bed smiling at me. He was no longer wasted and yellow with jaundice from the cancer that was killing him. He looked like a young man again, not a teenager, but perhaps in his early 30s, and brimming with health. I stared at him in shock for a few moments, and then closed my eyes and opened them again. And he was gone. Less than a minute later, the phone rang. It was my brother calling to tell us my father had just died. Were they really ghosts? I'll never know. I don't really believe in an afterlife, but after those experiences, I can never entirely write off the possibility. About a beautiful young girl who proves to be very frightening for young men who want to date her. Years ago, there was a young girl who lived with her parents in a remote village. She was very attractive, with long black hair, pale white skin, and stunning oval eyes. Young Japanese men would come from miles around just to ask her out on a date. As word of her good looks spread around the area, more and more boys would turn up on her doorstep, professing their love for her and begging to be allowed to take her out for the evening. However, the problem was that none of the young men lasted more than one date with her. Before the night was over, they were always seen running away, screaming in terror. None of them would ever talk about what had happened, and all refused to meet her again. Before long, the young men stopped coming to visit, and her parents began to despair that their daughter would never find a husband. Rumors began to spread around the village. People said there must be something wrong with the beautiful girl. Some people wondered if she had a horrible personality. Others were of the opinion that she had some kind of hideous deformity that was driving away all of the boys. Her parents were mystified. They couldn't understand why so many young men were terrified by their daughter. She was always so sweet, gentle, happy, and even-tempered. She studied hard in the evenings and never complained when her mother asked her to do chores around the house. One day, as her father was out in the garden mowing the lawn, a young man came walking up the garden path. "What do you want?" the old man asked. "I'd like to date your daughter," said the young man. The father was delighted. "Come right in," he said, and he happily introduced the young man to his beautiful daughter. The girl seemed very shy and never looked directly at the young man. She spoke softly, her voice barely above a whisper, and whenever he spoke to her, she blushed bright red. Despite this, the young man seemed very taken by her beauty and asked her out on a date. She accepted and accompanied him to the door when he was leaving. "Not now," she whispered. "Come back at midnight and be careful not to knock too loud or you'll wake my parents up." The young man was surprised, but he came back that night and tapped softly on her bedroom window. Suddenly the window opened and the girl climbed out. "Before I go out with you, you have to promise me something," she whispered. The young man nodded eagerly. "I want you to take a love test," she said. "If you really love me, you will pass the test. Promise me that if you fail the test, you will never tell another living soul about what went on tonight." The young man couldn't imagine what the beautiful young girl had in mind, but he agreed to remain silent. With his hand on his heart, he said, "I solemnly swear that I will never breathe a word of it to anyone." "Okay, follow me," said the girl. "Where are we going?" the young man asked, but the girl didn't reply. It was a dark night and the moon was hidden behind a layer of clouds. In Japan, they say that it is on this type of night that ghosts wander the earth. The two young people could hear the ominous sound of dogs howling in the distance. They slipped quietly through the deserted village streets until they came to the woods. The girl hurried down a dark, overgrown path, and the young man had to run to keep up with her. The path was bordered by enormous trees that loomed over them like huge monsters. Eventually they reached an old cemetery. The moon emerged from behind the clouds, casting a pale light, and the young man could see old gravestones covered with moss and creeping vines. The girl's nightdress was billowing in the breeze. She was standing at the edge of a grave that looked quite fresh. As the young man watched, she picked up a rusty old spade and began to dig, flinging clumps of dirt everywhere. Then she dropped to her knees and swept aside dirt with her hands until she uncovered a coffin. Imagine his surprise when she lifted the lid, opened the white shroud, and tore an arm off the corpse inside. Then she clamped it between her teeth and took a large bite. She chewed it loudly while staring at him. "This is the test of love," she hissed. "If you love me, you will do what I do. You will eat what I eat." With that, she ripped the other arm off the corpse and tossed it to the young man. He didn't hesitate for a moment. He picked up the arm and took a large bite. Now he was even more surprised. He never thought human flesh could be so delicious. Suddenly he realized that he wasn't eating a dead body at all. It was all just a prank. It was a candy corpse, made of sugar and rice flour. The beautiful girl burst out laughing. "You know, of all the boys who came to take me on a date, you're the only one who didn't run away. I want to marry someone who is brave, and this proves you are the one. Now I can fall in love with you." The young man didn't crack a smile. He just stood there in the darkness, by the edge of the grave, staring at her. His eyes were filled with rage and anger. "Only candy?" he growled. "I thought you'd just like me." With that, he grabbed the shovel and started to dig another grave. When he unearthed a coffin, he broke it open and began devouring the dead body inside. This time it was the girl who ran away screaming. I was about 4 or 5 years old and my parents had just separated. My mom was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had my own room, but I preferred to sleep in her bed whenever I was staying with her. Our 2 bedrooms were at the end of a hallway, directly across from each other. Our apartment was on the first floor, and I remember that it was in the middle of the summer, and my mom had a window open her room, which was directly behind the bed, above the headboard. Anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night and remember sitting up and seeing that our cat was sitting in the door frame of my mom's room. Her door was open and you could partially see into my bedroom. This was strange because our cat was typically always in bed with us. As I was watching him, he walked into my bedroom and meowed. I turned to face my mom and wake her up. In the 3-4 seconds it took her to wake up and ask me what was wrong, we both looked back up in the door frame, and there was a man standing by my open door, making his way out of my bedroom. I still don't know how she managed to do it so quickly, but my mother proceeded to pick me up and literally throw me out of the screen window. Again, we were on the first floor, and it was maybe a 3-foot drop to the ground. She quickly followed, and we were able to start screaming for help, and someone called 911. The police came but didn't see any signs of forced entry, only that our front door was unlocked, which led them to believe the man must have exited that way. The strange thing was that my mom swore up and down that she had locked the door that night, with the deadbolt and chain lock. About a week later, she was cleaning the kitchen and opened up our water heater closet and found a notebook with names and drawings, as well as a pair of gloves and some gum wrappers. The police were called again, but all they could do was speculate that the man had been in our house and hid until we were asleep.